Hi, my name is Mason Miller, and this is Game Array. Playdead's Inside recently released on PC, Xbox One, and PlayStation 4. It, like Limbo before it, is a memorable game, if only for its stringent adherence to minimalist values. Minimalism in video games has always been an interesting subject to me, especially since I find it so difficult to express why minimalist games work so well. It might come as a surprise, but my favorite use of minimalism doesn't come from the world of video games. It doesn't come from the world of film or TV. It doesn't even come from the world of art or sculpture, where minimalist ideals got their start in the mid-1950s. It comes from the world of cooking, from an Italian chef named Chef Massimo Bottura. Massimo did something that I find remarkable with a simple dish of pasta. When every other Italian chef in the country was serving bowls filled with tortellini, he decided to serve a single plate with 6 pieces surrounded by broth on both sides. His reasoning? That when you eat a bowl of pasta, most of the time you lose yourself in the process of eating. By only serving 6 pieces, you force the guest to acknowledge each one, to respect each piece. It sounds ridiculous, but I like the decision because of the way it considers the process of eating, that physical interaction between the guest and the food. I don't think that relationship is too different from the way we digest video games. We might consume a bowl full of pasta, same way we power through the latest game from Ubisoft. Now, minimalism isn't anything new for video games. Back in 2001, Fumito Ueda famously used what he called design by subtraction to create Eco. Ueda believed that in order for Eco to maintain immersion, he needed to winnow its assets down to a bare minimum, so each asset would receive the attention it needed to support the game's own reality. Even Peter Molyneux learned during the troubled development of Fable 3, and perhaps too late, that it's not the number of features you have, it's how well executed those features are. What Ueda and Molyneux are both getting at is that sometimes you need to minimize your project's scope in order to refine it into something truly splendid. That's certainly true. After all, it's Inside's mechanical minimalism and refinement that allows the designers to create these tense chase scenes where the enemy is always right on the boy's heels. That precise timing would have been impossible to achieve in a game with a more varied moveset. Phil Fish, in describing his development of Fez, pointed out that Eco ended up being about a boy, a girl, and a castle. There was no inventory, no shops, no villagers. Ueda knew that the whole of Eco should be about this thematic idea of boy meets girl, and if any piece of the game didn't serve as a part of that whole, he removed it. Fish did the same thing to his own game, and so did Genova Chen when designing Journey. Chen himself said that a lot of games today have a list of quests, places to go, items to collect, and rewards to receive. We just ignore each other. So in order to make players care about each other, we have to remove their power and remove their tasks. Chen removed server lobbies, he removed leaderboards and avatar customization so that Journey could focus on one thing: the magic of 2 strangers cooperating in an unknown land. By removing what isn't needed, designers return power to what's left. This is the reason why Inside's animations are so compelling, why its backgrounds resonate, why I'm still sitting here thinking about the mind control puzzles, and my own cold apathy towards those under my control some 2 weeks after viewing the credits. All that remains of Inside after its 6-year development serves as a part of its whole. It all ties into Inside's themes and settings. Even its gameplay and puzzles echo the same bleak indifference this dystopian world has for its inhabitants. Inside's puzzles benefit from its design choices more so than almost any other part of the game. Director Arndt Jensen looked back at each of Limbo's puzzles during its design and asked, what is really necessary? What can we throw out? What doesn't have to be here? I think it's safe to assume he carried over that mentality to Inside. Every action, every object has a purpose. If a player can interact with it, then they will need to in order to progress. This allows Inside to easily communicate what the rules and boundaries are for each puzzle. It's also what allows Inside to create complex puzzles over large stretches of game without ever overwhelming its players. Jensen isn't afraid of reusing puzzle mechanisms either, because why add something to a game when something that's already there will do just as good, if not better? Inside lets each of its mechanisms stick around so they can unfold in interesting and unexpected ways. These sequences could have been several obstacles linked together only by location, but by creating a mechanical theme, they give the player a real sense of progression. And by limiting the amount of objects and assets used in the game, Inside can curate player experience and direct player focus. Take a look at this water puzzle about a third of the way through the game. We see this chain rope, and we immediately know it's the goal because we've seen and interacted with that rope before. And then there's Inside's control scheme. 2 buttons and an analog stick. 1 button for interaction, another for jumping. And unlike other platformers, Inside isn't a test of your reflexes. Anytime you jump or interact with something, you do it for a purpose and with an expected outcome. It's really no different than Chef Massimo and his tortellini. If other platformers are the bowls of pasta that you get lost in the process of playing, then Inside is the plate with 6 tortellini that forces you to consider and respect every button press. My favorite moments with Inside came from the way it played with that relationship, when it took what I expected to happen and turned that expectation on its head. When jumping over a fence causes the fence to give way, or when pulling this box does the opposite of what you're trying to accomplish. But it's Inside's ending that stuck with me the most. It's the reason why I like this game so much more than Limbo. It's why Inside might still be remembered a few years from now, when other games are long forgotten. It works in part because the rest of the game is so quiet in comparison. Aside from a few key moments, this is what you can expect from Inside's first hour. And here's what you can expect from its ending. But that isn't the only reason it resonated so well with me. At least I don't think so. Imagine you're eating tortellini, one at a time, and the last piece of pasta has a different filling. Maybe it's pork or prosciutto instead of cheese. That blast of flavor catches you off guard and changes the entire experience of that meal. I think Inside does the same thing. You spend so much time being consciously aware of every action that you feel at home inside the player character. So when that player character suddenly changes, the transformation resonates. It stays with you, and it makes Inside a truly memorable experience. Go ahead and compare it to Resident Evil 6. One of the characters transforms into this thing during the climax of their respective campaign. I totally forgot this happened until I was halfway through the script. It doesn't have any lasting impact, because Resident Evil 6 is such a bloated mess of convoluted controls and action sequences that this small change doesn't add much to the whole. And at the end of the day, that's all anyone will remember. Inside knew that. It knew that it would need to cut any sequence or feature that didn't serve its whole, so that the whole would be a more memorable experience in the end. It saw the virtues of restraint. And like Eco and Journey before it, Inside stands as a prime example of what can be accomplished with minimalism in video games. Thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did enjoy the video, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. If you really liked the video and want to see more, then you can find a link to the Patreon account in the summary. I really appreciate the support, guys. Stay tuned because there's more to come. Thanks again.